In 1995, in Germany, 700 cases, reported cases of nuclear material, stolen nuclear material being sold are documented. 700 cases in Germany alone. The entire world is now awash with nukes all flowing from Russia. Now, some of these nuclear materials flowed into Iran, some of them flowed into Libya, some of them flowed into Korea, some of them flowed as far as Brazil, but others flowed into the hands of terrorists. The first terrorist group that managed to accumulate a great deal of nuclear material were the Chechens, the Chechen rebels. These guys are Muslims, and they're from Chechnya. The leader of the Chechens, the Chechen rebels at that time in 1995, is a guy by the name of Dzhokhar Jurjayev. I'll show you his picture, page P14. This guy had notified our State Department, Jurjayev, in 1995, that he had amassed a great deal of Soviet materials, nuclear materials from the Soviet Union, former Soviet Union, and that he also had off-the-shelf nuclear devices, small atomic demolition munitions. He informed the Clinton administration. This is all a matter of record. The people in our State Department said, that's ridiculous. You know, a group of these Muslims, backward Muslims from Chechnya, claiming to have, radiological materials. You know, it's ridiculous. Well, Jurjayev answered by saying, I'll tell you what, I'll show you that I have these materials. And he planted a dirty nuke, a radiological bomb, in Ifsmilovsky Park outside of Moscow. This is the very first case of nuclear terrorism. Occurred in 1995. There it is.
Wow.
If that nuke, that was filled with cesium. That's a different story. That was filled with cesium. If that went off, if you're exposed to one grain, like a grain of salt of cesium, it goes right to your bone marrow. Within hours, you get cancer of the thyroid. Within a week, your cancer or your pancreas and your liver and your kidneys are jelly. Within a week, you're going to be dying like Litvinenko. First case of nuclear terrorism at the order of Jurjayev, 1995. Well, Jurjayev says, now I've shown you that I have radiological material. Send some people from the State Department. He's saying this to the Clinton administration in 1995. Over and, we're going to show you that the weapons that we have tactical nuclear weapons. So members of the State Department go and they meet with Jurjayev in Chechnya. One of the people that eventually made his way over there was Hans Blix, the UN weapons inspector. And sure enough, they come back and they tell the Clinton administration, these guys have the weapons. And Jurjayev said, if you want to get these weapons off the market, you better buy them. It's going to cost you a lot. And you have to recognize Chechnya as an independent nation. Well, Clinton said, no, I'm not going to do that. And he declined. He even stopped negotiating with Jurjayev. Well, Jurjayev, being a good Muslim, sold the weapons to the next person in line, who happened, by all accounts, by BBC, by the Jerusalem Post, by the Chechens themselves, sold them to Osama bin Laden. This is 1996. Now, that's just the beginning of it. Bin Laden also made purchases from other people, from the Ukraine, from China, from arms dealers like Simeon Migalovich, who would sell weapons to anybody with the money. And bin Laden had the money. He still does. Now, where did he get all this money to? It's another question. To amass such an arsenal. Well, all of his money always came from one source. It didn't come from the Saudi holdings or his bank accounts in Saudi Arabia. Those accounts were frozen when he was ousted from Saudi Arabia back in 1991. It didn't come from his holdings in the Sudan that were frozen in 1995. All of his money comes from the poppy fields in Afghanistan. Every time that one of our college students or one of our street people or one of our good citizens buys a little packet of a tenth of a gram of heroin, they're funding the jihad. That's where the money to buy all these things but I'm getting carried away on a different subject. But I don't mind this. Let me tell you a story. I was at the University of Pennsylvania, and there's a student there with a little packet of heroin. And he said this keeps him awake for exams. And a little packet. On the packet was a picture of Osama bin Laden.
Really?
And the back was a crescent moon. The college students and people listening to this know what I'm talking about. They called them bennies.
After him, huh?
Yeah. It's the most prevalent form, it's the most prevalent drug, the drug of choice in the United States today. Bennies.
Wow.
We're asking for it, and we're going to get it. Do you know how much a benny cost? $5.
Is that right?
$5. It's flowing into the United States and into Europe like never before. 300 times more than before 9/11. Let's go back to bin Laden. We're talking about a $100 billion a year business. Afghanistan, of course, has no national product. They don't manufacture anything. They have no crops. They have one crop, and that's the poppy crop. And it's refined into number 4 heroin, and it funds the jihad. He used these funds to buy his nuclear arsenal. Now, what's interesting is, on the morning of 9/11, bin Laden was meeting with scientists from the A.Q. Khan research facility in Pakistan. And let's cut to this for a second. We can see the more of this problem. Dr. A.Q. Khan, one of my favorite guys.
King Khan? Is this King Khan?
This is King Khan. Dr. A.Q. Khan is a metallurgist, and he's a great nuclear salesman. He has sold nuclear technology and designs for nuclear weapons to a host of countries throughout the world. To Libya. You wonder why Iran is now becoming a major nuclear power? Thank this guy. North Korea becoming a nuclear power? Thank this guy. There's worse news than that, though. This guy also sold nuclear weapons or nuclear technology and nuclear designs to Brazil, which is very far advanced in becoming a nuclear power, will become a nuclear power within a year, to Burma, to the Sudan. How about that? Sudan, to Egypt, to Saudi Arabia, to Myanmar, Brazil. This guy has sold nuclear technology to every rogue nation and rogue dictator throughout the world. He's a radical Muslim, and guess who else he sold that technology to? Osama bin Laden, exactly. But members of he's the guy that developed the nuclear bomb of Pakistan. He's venerated in Afghanistan and Pakistan. His birthday is a national holiday. By the way, I think his birthday might be either today or tomorrow. So, happy birthday. Happy birthday. But in any case, this madman, his scientists from the A.Q. Khan research facility were meeting with bin Laden on the morning of 9/11. One of those scientists was Dr. Sultan Basharuddin Mahmood. He's the chairman of Pakistan's Atomic Energy Commission. This guy is a nuclear engineer.
The mad scientist.
Right. The second guy that was meeting with bin Laden on the morning of 9/11 was a guy by the name of Dr. Chaudhry Majid, chief engineer for the A.Q. Khan research facility. Now, when the ISI, Pakistani intelligence, and the CIA questioned Dr. Mahmood and Dr. Majid about what they were doing meeting with bin Laden, they asked him a series of questions. And they said, is it true? Could it possibly be true that this backward Bedouin figure of bin Laden could have nuclear weapons? And they said, of course. We helped him develop this nuclear arsenal he has. Yes, he has nuclear weapons. They said, we have been preparing. This is working with him for the American Hiroshima. And then they said, certainly, he doesn't have the wherewithal to deploy these weapons to the United States. And they said, oh, of course he does. We've seen some of them deported from, once again, the port of Karachi, and they're already on U.S. soil. So you're talking about where did he get these weapons? He got them primarily from the breakdown of the Soviet Union, from the failure of the State Department to address the problem of nuclear proliferation. He got them from fellow Muslims, and he got them from the poppy fields.
Is it unreasonable to believe that Iran has purchased nuclear devices? They're supposedly trying to make them, but couldn't they have just purchased them?
Well, you got a difference here, Paul. And the difference is between a strategic nuclear weapon, which is a weapon that could wipe out, all of the East Coast or all the West Coast. If a strategic bomb went off, it would just say one went off in Virginia, all of the East Coast of the United States would be toast. So a strategic nuclear weapon can be only really developed by a state. Okay. And in order to develop a nuclear weapon like of that magnitude, you have to have the technology, centrifuge technology, for instance, that Iran has right now. We're talking about small atomic demolition munitions that are,
1 to 5 kiloton or something like that.
No, we're talking like 1 to, I wish we were. We're really talking about something from 1 kiloton all the way up to 25 kiloton.
25? That's getting into the hydrogen bomb range, isn't it?
Well, it's, what happens is, let me tell you one story. I could tell you, I could stay here all night telling you stories. Let me tell you a story, an Israeli story. I know our friends in Israel are watching, and they can verify this. Let's go to October 11th, 2001. I'm going to take it to the Allenby Bridge. I have a picture of the Allenby Bridge.
Yeah.
The Allenby Bridge connects Jordan to Israel. And on this bridge, every day, you find people, hundreds of pedestrians crossing, and of course, people crossing even in donkey carts in this day and age. And now and then you get an occasional vehicle that's heavy traffic, and not very well monitored, believe it or not. Let's cut to October 11, 2001. Crossing the Allenby Bridge, we find a Volkswagen bus. It's spewing smoke. It's being driven by this Pakistani. The Pakistani is green. He doesn't look good. He's green at the gills, and he's bleeding from the nose, and he's bleeding from the ears, and his fingernails are black. They take him out of the vehicle, and they take a look in the back of the Volkswagen bus. October 11, 2001, at the Allenby Bridge. This is a Pakistani with ties to Al-Qaeda. In the back of that Volkswagen bus that was spewing smoke was a plutonium implosion device that was being taken to Israel, going to be deployed from the port of Haifa and headed for the United States.
That's a very sophisticated weapon, is it not?
It's the most sophisticated weapon you can have. Most sophisticated weapon you can have. And this, everybody says, oh, do these people possibly have nuclear weapons? In the wake of Operation Enduring Freedom, when our troops were combing the caves of Kandahar, what did they find in the caves? They found a canister, in one instance, of uranium-238 just left behind. That canister was worth about $20 million, just left there. Right outside of Turpak Farms, if you have that picture, they found jar after jar after jar of yellow cake, highly enriched uranium, just left behind, and canisters of uranium-238.